it's Betsy, and today we have a fun video. We're going to be testing out the new Game Beauty Fantasy palette. Now, I was interested in trying this because I had purchased the Adventure palette and I really love that one. I love the green color story. I love what the brand, like their theming is about. So I was super interested to try this. Now, I ordered this on release day. This retails for $45, which is what I paid for it. It is cruelty free and has a 24-month shelf life. But what stands out about it is I love the artwork. Now, it does come in an outside unicarton. I've already taken it out and thrown it away. And the first palette was more of a green toned, but this is definitely a blue kind of pastel palette. So I am going to try to use some of the pastel shades. I used a white eye primer. I used the Gerard Canvas Clean Canvas Eye Base in white to help make it pop, because pastels make me nervous. Most pastels do not work on my skin tone. Just saying that up front. So it may not be the formulation. If it doesn't work, it might be just the colors themselves. So we're gonna start off by swatching. So the first shade we have is Illuminate, which to me it's like a matte, like butter yellow. They still have that nice soft feel. Then we have Dreamland, which to me is like a soft cotton candy pink. Celestial, so that's a little bit chunkier. That looks more like a, that's pretty. I'm trying to see if it has any shifts in it. It says Celestial is a chameleon white shade with a blue pink shift. I'm not seeing much of the shift, but it could be the lighting that I'm in. I forgot to grab a makeup wipe. It's okay. I always have them handy. Anyways, then we have the shade Buff. That's really pretty. Which to me is like a shiny cerulean blue. Mana, which is like a more of a shiny navy. And when you look at it in the pan, it has more of like that marble effect to it. Then we have Faith, which to me is more of like an apricot pastel. We have Ethereal. Oh, I like that. Ethereal, it's a very, very shiny. Oh yeah, I really like Ethereal. Ethereal is a sapphire blue with an electric pink shift. I definitely see some shiftiness in that. I also see some purple in it. Then we have, dry off my hand, Icy Fantasy, which looks like that. To me, that's like a sky blue. That one seems pretty weak, but I can build it up. Courage, this is like a denim blue. That's a good shade. And Mage, which Mage, to me is like a dusty lavender. So this brand is based off of like video games. So the first palette, as I said, was the Adventure palette. This is what all 10 shades look like. Very pretty, very soft. I don't use primer when I do swatches. I just swatch them on the back of my hand to kind of see how they look and feel. Swatches are definitely not the end-all, be-all of eyeshadow, so we'll kind of see how it goes. But let's go ahead and get started. So they're video game themed, which I really enjoy. The green palette was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So I can't wait to play with this. Now, I think what I'm going to do is let's find a small brush and let's see if we can make some of these pastels show up. Or should I? Yeah, we're gonna go for the pastels first, or some of them. So I'm gonna go into, because I think I'm gonna do like mainly a blue look, I'm gonna go into Icy Fantasy. Picks up nicely on the brush, and we're gonna use that as like our transition shade. I do wish that this had a little bit more depth to it, like, because I get that fantasy, it can be soft and ethereal, but fantasy can also be dark. So it is taking a little bit to build up, but it is building up nicely. I'm not a fan of having to use a white eyeshadow primer, but you know, it is what it is. And I know, and like, I'm trying to think, other than Midas's pastels, I haven't had any like pastels that really work on my skin tone completely and fully. So that's pretty. It went on nicely, and I didn't put anything over the base, in case you're wondering. Like, it is straight up just the base, because I almost always never set my base. I feel like that works the best. But I want to get the deeper shade, that ethereal shade, all over my lid. So I'm like, well, how can I accomplish that? So I like that. Okay, how am I gonna do this? I'm gonna try and use, this is a BK Beauty 206. I'm gonna go into the shade Buff, which is a shimmer shade, but I'm gonna try to use that to kind of deepen up the crease, to give it a little bit more depth. Okay, that's working. Because even though that's a shimmer shade, it's not like a super reflective shimmer shade, if that makes sense. It's pretty. It's definitely not something I would use all over the lid, honestly. I prefer something that definitely has a lot more pigment than that and more reflect. It's like, if I'm gonna go big, if I'm gonna do it, I wanna go big or go home. Okay. Pretty, pretty. Just kind of keep blending, making sure everything looks nice together. I mean, I'm not having any trouble with anything, so, I mean, that's a plus. Okay, what's next? Okay. I think I'm gonna go into Courage next, which is more of like that denim blue, to give it a little bit more depth. And I'm gonna use a BK Beauty 203. So it's still a fluffy brush, but it's much denser. There we go. That's a good blue. That's a really pretty blue. And I don't know if I'll use all the shades today in this look, but honestly, I probably will stay away from some of the pastels. I just don't think that they're going to do much justice on my skin tone. But this is doing pretty. Very, very pretty. But yeah, are y'all video gamers? Do you like video gamers? Do you like any certain types of games? I love Final Fantasy, mainly the older ones. I hate that they stopped making it turn-based because I am not the best gamer. Let's put it that way. I can do like a turn-based game, but if you want me to walk around and try like playing Call of Duty or anything like that with my husband, you want me to try to walk and shoot at the same time, is not going to happen. My hands are just not that coordinated. But we are a big game family. So that, Tetris, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Sonic, Mario, Animal Crossing. Love Animal Crossing. Okay, so that looks super duper cute. Okay, we need to add a little bit more depth. I'm gonna use the shade Mana to see if I can really kind of deepen up that outer edge. I'm gonna use that same one I used with Courage. And again, I know Mana is supposed to be more of a shimmer shade, but I'm hoping that it'll kind of work to add a little bit more depth. I'm all about having more of like a smokier eye. But I do think that you could do something ethereal and pretty with this. And I think that the pastels shades would work well on my daughter, who is like the lightest of light. So blend it. That looks really pretty. Okay, so I think I'm gonna use Ethereal all over the lid today. Okay, nope, let's grab this one. This is a ColourPop E13. And we're gonna use that to apply that all over the lid. Now, I do wanna spray that. But this is a beautiful spring palette. I mean, I won't say anything like, yeah, I mean, the colors are really pretty. There we go. I do wish there was a little bit more shimmer and shine in the palette. To me, that would make it more of a fantasy palette. I don't know. Like, I don't mind dark fantasy, but there's something that, like, when I think of fairies or gnomes or anything like that, I'm like, oh, shiny, glitter, sparkle. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, that's really pretty. Okay. Now, and again, the Adventure palette did have a pressed glitter in it. This one does not. I don't mind pressed glitters, but I know a lot of people do. Okay, so that is the top of the eyes done. I'm gonna go off camera and do the rest of my face, and then we'll come back and do the lower lash line and talk about my thoughts on the palette. So I'm back and I have the rest of my face on. I'm really loving the blue shades that are in this palette. So I'm gonna take, this is a Cleona, let's go for a little bit bigger. This is a Cleona, what brush is this? It doesn't say, but not all the Cleona brushes say what they are. And I'm going to go under the eye with the shade Mage right here. That dusty, like stormy kind of color. And really kind of smoke out the lower lash line. I think that that will definitely help bring the look together. And I always apply quite a bit of shadow underneath. So as you can see, you see how that kind of just ties everything together. I know that's not everybody's favorite thing, is to apply a lot of shadow underneath their eyes. But for me, I think I always like to do it. So there we go. But I do really like the palette for the most part so far. Okay. Now I need to apply an inner corner. So I'm gonna grab, this is a BK Beauty 207. I'm gonna dip into that Celestial shade. I am gonna spray it because I watched Millie from Bad to the Brows video and it's chunky, and I touched it and it's chunky. So just to make it where it's not so chunky. And I am kind of going a little bit overboard with that tear duct, because I think that kind of gives a little bit more of a fantasy element. And I'm gonna apply just the tiniest bit to the brow bone. Okay, let's apply some mascara and we'll start talking while I'm doing that. Okay, so I think that the blues that are in this palette performed really well. They take a lot of building to get a good amount of pigmentation, but for a lot of people that is okay. For myself personally, I only consider it being 2 shimmers in this palette, because the Buff and Manna, those two, to me aren't shiny enough to really be considered a shimmer. I would consider those more of a satin. but I really like Celestial and Ethereal, which are what I would consider the true like shimmers of the palette. And I've used almost every shade in here. I used everything except for Illuminate, Dreamland, and Faith. And that's because I just don't think that they're gonna work really well for me. I could be wrong, but they're just not colors that I tend to lean towards. And I wish if they would have kept that kind of color story to add just a little bit more richness to it. You can still keep them on like a pastel side, but make it have a little bit more depth. Would have been preferable to me. But again, the palette's good. Is it $45 good? That's for you to decide. I think it's pretty. I think what I used performed well. Would I purchase it again? Yes, I would, but I'm a collector. Most people don't own the amount of makeup I do, and I like to try new makeup. I also love to have like completed collections. So when I bought the green one, I was going to buy this one. And even if the next one has a color story I don't love, I will continue to purchase them, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I think this could have been, those 3 shades are a little bit better. But I guess that's it. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button right down below. And if you hit the notification bell icon next to it, that will notify you when I post new videos, which is typically Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But I guess that's it. So we'll see y'all later. Bye.